Hello, I'm Jim O'Rear, and welcome to episode 2 of Collectibles from My Closet. The last show was pretty popular and got a lot of comments that people wanted to see more stuff. So basically, this is a short video series about fandom geek collectible things that I have sitting around my house or that are in boxes in my closet and things like that. Now, the last show focused on Star Wars. So this time I decided, well, let's look at an iconic horror character. So, Freddy Krueger. How about that? So let's take a look at a few kind of cool Freddy Krueger collectibles that maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't seen, maybe you saw and forgot about. But here's some kind of cool stuff, and we might as well start out with this right here. This was the very first Freddy mask that came out, and you see it was a full head mask. It went down, covered the neck, so you could tuck it into the sweater, so it looked like that, it didn't just end at your chin. But it was a Don Post that came out. They came out with two versions. There was a regular version of this, and then a deluxe version. This is the deluxe version, and it's really old, but you see it's held up super well. Pretty good detail and everything like that. The only stupid thing about it is this hat. This hat is like, it's foam. It's not even a hat. It's made out of foam. So it's kind of a crappy hat instead of, putting a real hat on there. But it's neat. It's neat that it separates and can come off, and you can pretend to be the character, and it fits really tight. So it's a really good mask for the very first one. Now, going along with the original first mask, they came out with a couple of different gloves that look like this. The glove on the left is the rare one. That's the very first glove that came out, and the one on the right is the one you can get these days. Mine is dusty, you can see, but this was the very first one, and it just kind of plain, but it was neat. Then they moved on to this, which was much more like the movie and styled like the movie. But the one on the left there, if you notice when you flip it over, it's just like a gardening glove is all it is, that they put some plastic blades on and kind of glued them on there. But it was cool. And then they made this, which was, as you can see, much more like the one in the movie. And this one you can still get today, but the original is pretty hard to find. But there's the two versions. Now, for some reason, I guess Freddy went into a spitting phase or something like that. I don't know, but they came out with a lot of Freddy Krueger things that would spit at you, like these. So this is really old and has some nicks in it, but you'll notice in his mouth, see in his mouth there's that little hole. That is the front of the water gun. Yeah, this is just a water gun. On the top of the hat here, you'll see there's a little hole that you can fill him up with water, and the water goes down inside this bulb that's inside the head. And you wear this kind of like a puppet. You stick your hand in there, and it's like a puppet, and you squeeze the ball. And when you squeeze that little ball, it works like a water gun and sprays water out of the mouth on your friends, pissing them all off. Now, they also came out with these. These were called spitballs, and there's Freddy's victim right there, and little hole in his mouth. And there's Freddy himself with the little hole in his mouth. And these, you would submerge them in water and squeeze them, and they would fill up. And then you would just squeeze the sides of them, and they would spit on your friends. And they shoot for, I don't know, it was really far. It was like 15 feet or something like that. Pretty funny. Does anyone remember that wonderful board game that came out? Wonderful? Here it is. Here's the board game from Victory Games, and this is like, I don't know, 84 or something like that when it came out. And it was like most movie games, not very good, but it was neat to have. And you see that right there where like the hand pops up out of the board? Yeah, that doesn't ever happen. We tried Ouija boards and everything. We could never get that to happen. So that's false advertising. But the board itself looks like this. There's some places for card decks and houses, and had little Freddy game pieces that you play with. And this is the board, and basically you'll see here there's two sides. There's like here's the good neighborhood, and then you descend into Detroit, I guess. is what that is, Detroit. But that's what the board looks like. It was pretty boring. I think we may have played it once and put it away and did not ever touch it again after that. Now, of course, lots of different figures came out from the various movies and his various looks and things like that. There's tons of those. I have tons of those. I'm just going to show you a few of my favorites that are kind of odd and different. A couple of them not so odd. But, well, you'll see what I'm talking about. So one of my favorite figures ever to come out is this, like, rapper Freddy. Look at that pose. That's like Ice Baby right there. It's a rapper Freddy pose. That could be like the front of his album cover for Greatest Hits. And to go along with that, here's another one. This could be the back picture of the album cover. This is a sponge, actually. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking, but there you go, the original gangster rappers, I guess. Then there's this little cute thing, and I don't know, I found this in a gas station, I think. He's this little plastic guy with clothes, and he has a suction cup on him, and he can stick on stuff. I think I had him hanging from my car window for a while. And I think my mom probably still has hers in her car, but I don't know, this goes back, 30 some years, maybe even more than that. Then they came out with horror headliners also, and these were like bobblehead things, and they did a bunch of horror characters, but this is what the Freddy looks like, and they only made a limited number of these. They did, there you go, from 99, you can see they did Jason and Leatherface and Freddy, and they came with these certificates that shows that they did a total release of 10,000, and that little certificate is individually numbered for whatever number yours happens to be. Now, McFarlane Toys is probably the most famous for releasing the horror toys, and they came out with a Movie Maniacs series that had these little stands that have reproductions of the movie posters and different versions of Freddy from the different movies. And I love this one. I've got a big one of this that I'll show you in a little bit, but this is the mini version. There's a mini version. But McFarlane did some really neat horror toys in their Movie Maniacs series, and there's just a couple of them. Now, this next one is it's not an action figure. It was a model kit, and model making is not one of my talents, but I made this and painted it. It's a vinyl model kit that came out. They also did these with a lot of other horror figures like Jason and Leatherface. This was the Freddy that they did. Not super detailed or anything like that, but kind of cool. He's big and heavy and was fun to make and put together. These were advertised heavily through Fangoria magazine. That's where they sold a lot of them. That's where I got this one. But neat little model kit that you don't see around anywhere anymore. Now, Matchbox decided to get into the whole horror line of things with Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, things like that. And they came out with a series of cars. Here's one of those. There it is, the Matchbox character car collection, and this is their monster series, as you see there. And this is the one they did for Freddy. It's the Springwood boiler maintenance van that Freddy is driving or stepping on, or whatever he's doing to it there. Really not meant to be a practical little Matchbox car, but neat to put on a shelf and look at. So here's one of my favorite cool little things. I guess, I don't know if you call this an action figure, a statue, or what. He's not very action oriented. He doesn't move much. But let's take a closer look at him. Now, this is that larger version of the Freddy. Look at that face. I love that face. This is the larger version that I mentioned earlier from McFarlane Toys of the Movie Maniacs series. And it's just, you can see a lot of the details and stuff much better in this one, but he's very cool. I could just look at that face. I used to have him standing over the Nativity, watching over Jesus, and people didn't like that. But anyway, he's he's very tall. He's super heavy. He's electronic and makes noise. But just take a look at all this detail here. Lots of blood, lots of splattering and details. You can see the lines even in the clothing, the dirt on the boots, that kind of thing. And then on the back here, you'll see is where his battery pack is, and there's a big speaker back there. He's pretty loud. There's the button that triggers him to turn him off and on. But yeah, just take a look at that detail. He's very, very cool. One of my favorite Freddy pieces. I try to keep him out where people can see him a lot. So you noticed that I showed you in that there was a button on the back that makes sounds. I don't know if you'll be able to hear him or not. Let's see.
No running in the hallway.
Kind of cool. He's actually got a sensor right here on the front of him, and you can stand him up, and when that sensor is tripped, he'll talk to people as they walk by. So there you go. Turn him off. So here's another one of my favorites. This one got yanked off the shelves pretty quickly because it irritated parents that it was being sold in toy stores. It's a Talking Freddy. So this one was from Matchbox, stepping away from their cars, and it was made for ages 8 and up. It was a little Freddy Krueger doll that made a lot of people mad because Freddy's a child molester, and we're making toys of a child molester for children to play with. And they got yanked off shelves pretty quickly, but I grabbed one before that. Now, out of the box, you can see he's super cute. He's got neat little clothes on there, and I mean, it looks like a regular little doll. I would have carried this around when I was a kid everywhere. But he's kind of neat, but he talks, which is cool. There's no batteries. It's old school, like the toys I had when I was a kid, where you pull the string and he talks. Very, very neat little toy. So there you saw him up a little bit close, and little ring back here. It doesn't use batteries or anything. But let's see if you can hear him. So that's apparently the gnome version of Freddy's voice. So they came out with a couple of really cool dolls that one's super cute, one is a little more realistic. Here are those. Here's the cute one. It's from the Living Dead doll collection, and they used to make a lot of original characters with their Living Dead dolls, and then they started making Living Dead doll versions of movie characters. When you open up the box, you can see my reflection, but also you see the little Freddy doll there, and you see what I mean. He's super cute, very stylized in the Living Dead style. And I really like him. He's a favorite of mine. Now, Sideshow Toys came out with a little more realistic version, and this one is signed by Robert Englund right there himself. But Sideshow made a more of kind of a collectible action figure style. Here he is when you open the box. You'll see on the left there, there's a cast list of who's in the movie, a little movie poster, and then inside the box you get Freddy with a little stand that you can stand him up on and display him. He's got the removable hat and stuff like that, and not a bad face. There's my reflection again, so let me get out of the way. There's his face a little bit better, but pretty neat little collectible doll there. And not to be beat out of the Freddy Krueger merchandising scheme, yes, Mr. Potato Head also got involved. Yep, Mr. Potato Head came out with a line called Pop-Taters, which had several movie characters that they made. And this was their Freddy Krueger. They also did a Jason. I have a Jason somewhere. But I love these Mr. Potato Head characters. In the last show, I showed you some that they did for Star Wars. And this is just one from their horror line of taters. Here's something that irritated a lot of parents when it came out in toy stores. This was a dress-up Freddy Krueger doll from Max Effects. Again, Matchbox steps away from their car line to make this Max Effects doll, where you make the change happen. It says so right on the box. But you see, there's a dress-up Freddy, and there's Matchbox's logo. So kind of an odd thing for Matchbox, but it came with this this toy, this little doll. I guess it's Ken
It's their version of Kin. It's Kin Freddy. That's before burning, and then the face after burning, and hands after burning. Also glove, hat, boots, little clothes that you can change him into. He can go from regular Freddy to evil Freddy. So it's sort of a Freddy, Kin, and Barbie doll, I guess.
So there you go. There's just a few of the Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger things that I have sitting around the house and in my closet. I want to thank you for watching this episode of Collectibles from My Closet. Let me know in the comments kind of what you like, what you don't like. This is still really experimental. Just decided, what the heck? Let's put together a short little video series for geeks like me that want to see some cool stuff. And let's see if we want to keep this video series going. If we get some good comments and stuff, I can go on and show more like Bruce Lee and superhero stuff, more horror collectibles. Got a lot of horror stuff, especially Universal Monsters. So again, I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.